Hello, and welcome to Focus Point. Today we're going to be talking about pet peeves in IEP meetings. And yes, this episode is going to be 2 hours long. No. But seriously, there are a lot of things that we've encountered over the years and
Yes.
Things that we don't think about. So we thought we'd highlight and talk about those today.
Yes, and I think one of the first places we can start is the meeting itself. And one of the challenges is that sometimes teams just start talking and working on the IEP document and they forget to introduce themselves. And that's very intimidating for the parents that I work with because they don't necessarily know everyone in the room. And I think it's a common courtesy that we need to introduce ourselves.
Well, we're so busy. And, we're thinking about all the things that we need to do and all the things we need to cover in the meeting. And we're ready to get down to business right out of the gate. And I see it all the time. It's kind of funny. Some of the schools that I go to are so small. So literally everyone does know each other around the table. So they don't really need to do introductions, although it is nice sometimes to remind parents about why we're here and start with some of the positives, because that's my other pet peeve is that we go a lot of times just right into the IEP document and start talking about the negatives. And
so true. Yes. And because it's the order that it goes in and you forget to stop and talk, and it kind of sets up that whole anxious thing for the parents. They don't know everyone for sure. And now we're talking about the negatives and it just kind of starts to snowball in a direction.
Or I go to the other end of the continuum where I go to very large schools and I walk in and there might be 20 people sitting around the table and I'm going, who the heck are all these people? So introductions are very important.
And then when you go into those bigger meetings and the challenge there is you may not have a place to sit, Kelly, because, they forgot you were coming today, right?
Right. Or you were given notice 2 minutes before the meeting. By the way, we're meeting on so-and-so.
Right.
And nothing like being prepared for that meeting, right?
Right. And the other side of that, usually, as an advocate, I'm looking at that list that they sent out in the notice of the meeting. And I'm thinking, where's the SLP? She's supposed to be here. And where's this person? They're supposed to be here. And they start trying to grab all those people and get them in there. And then they realize, we don't have enough space in this room.
Right. Yeah, I think it's probably worse not to be invited and find out that a meeting happened a week ago.
Yeah, that's true.
And that has happened to me.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Sure.
Yeah. And that's frustrating for everyone. So it definitely sets up some potential problems and adds to your list of pet peeves, right?
For sure. Or the parents playing musical chairs.
Right. Exactly. Everyone's trying to get their spot where they want to be. Or the reg ed teacher has to leave at 3:15 and they want to pull somebody in there to fill that spot, even though that teacher's never worked with the kid. And it's just all that movement and things can kind of create a problem. So.
Or my personal favorite, someone turning the heat off before the meeting started so that we would power through quickly.
To try to get you out of there.
Yes, obviously. The heat was on in the rest of the building, just not in that room.
That's funny.
Another problem that sometimes happens is the wonderful public announcement system.
The incessant interruptions.
Yes, and it's really hard to try to talk over that and process what everyone is saying. And so you have to wait till those announcements end. And sometimes those can be up to 4 or 5 minutes, which doesn't sound very long, but that definitely eats into the time because you're trying to end by a certain time.
You had mentioned earlier with the musical chairs issue with people coming in and saying their part and leaving. And I think that that's one of my pet peeves, when we're having a meeting for a student to determine what's best for that student as a team, collaboratively, how do you build an IEP if somebody comes in, says their part and leaves?
Right.
There's no interaction. There's no discussion.
Right. We want every voice at the table. And that's really difficult when, say, a principal didn't get coverage for their staff to stay in there the whole time. And that it's usually the reg ed teacher that gets a lot of that pressure, I notice. And I have to get back to my class. I have to get back. And And I'm thinking, well, no, but I want your input. It's so valuable. I wish that you had coverage and that you're not going to just be flying out.
Yeah.
So that's
It's hard. These are all very difficult things. But I think if we could be mindful of some of these items or pet peeves and try to plan ahead and alleviate some of these pain points, then we can better effectively make decisions.
I agree.
So these are thoughts on pet peeves for IEP meetings. There's probably a ton more.
Yeah, and we'd like to know what yours are. Feel free to put that in the comments on our Facebook page or on our website.
Thank you for joining us today.